Assalamu alaikum. Let's get started. In this session, we will be talking about class methods and variables, or what we call static methods and variables. What's the main difference between something that is static and something that is non-static? Static means belongs to the class, not to the objects, and can be accessed directly from the class name. No need to create an object to access a variable or a constant or even a method. One more important thing. If you have static variables in a class, they are not duplicated when you create a new object. All the objects created from that class will share the same the same static variable available in the class. If we see this, for example, if this is a class and you have one static variable, let us call it S, and other variables that are non-static, whenever you create objects from the class, the data members, let us say A, B, are non-static. Each new object will get its own copy of A and B, copy of A and B, copy of A and B. However, since S variable is a static variable, there will be no copies. Only one, and that one belongs to where? To the class. Anything static will be used from within what? From within the same class. Yani, in this case, S, there's only one S. However, object 1 has its own A and B. Object 2 has its own A and B. Object 3 has its own what? A and B. However, for S, they all still use the only one S, which belongs to who? To the class. If you make a change to S, this S will be changed in the class. If you change it, if the value of S, let us say 10, for all of them, all the objects created can still be used, and the value of 10. If you change it to 20, all of them will use now 20. Yani there is only one, and that thing belongs to the class. Tamam. You don't have to duplicate it. In this example here, we say update the student class by adding a static variable called what? University address. Is that the university address is the same for all students? Do we need to make a copy for 24,000 students, for example, here? Or just one and keep it in the, and it's even better. Keep it in the class, and if we decide to change the address, we change it where? In that thing. And they all refer to one value, that is age in the class. If I go to the code here, we find a student now. Okay. So here in the student, I have many members or many instance variables. None of them is static, right? None of them. So when you create a new student, a separate ID, separate first name, separate last name, separate GPA, separate email will be given to each object. However now, and I'll make this public to make it easy to work with it, it does not have to be public. Public what now? This is something new, right? Static, okay, university, a string, right? String, okay, now university address. And I can give it a value here, okay? Yani I can give it a value here. For example, I could say PO Box 2713 Doha, okay, Qatar. That's it. So now this address is available to all objects. They don't have their own copy of this university address. Tamam? Okay. If I see here test, where is student, test student? Here we have students before, right? Tamam? Here we created students before. Let's make sure this code is working fine. Okay. We have some students, okay, created. Okay. I'm not requesting any output. Let us go to the student class. Here is the student class. Okay. I will remove this line. Okay. In the constructor. Let us see if we have print student. We don't have print student, tamam. However, we still can use it. So we created how many students now here? Now I want to show you something. Sys out. S1, which is an object. Look, ya banat. Get email, get first name, whatever. Now we have what? What do you see now? And what do you see? A small red letter. What is this? Static. Means this belongs to who? To the class, right? So let me output it for S1. Let me just see the output here. If I do the same thing for S2 and S3, do you know what's going to happen now? Yes or no? It's all, for all of them, it's the same address. Because actually, there is only one copy of this address. However, for email and use first name, last name, GBA, there is a separate variable for each object you create. Do you get this? Let us say you decided to change them here after student 1. We can say S1 dot, I made it public, صح? I made it public, so in, university address is equal to, for example, nowhere. Now this address is changed, but this address belongs to the class. And there is only one. Now for all other objects, it's also is going to be what? Nowhere. Right? Is only one in the class. And you change that one now. We did not make it constant, okay? It's not final. If it's final, you cannot change it. Tamam? So now you will see the first one will be university address. And we changed it, we think we changed it for the first one. However, this variable belongs to the class, not to the object. So let us see the output now. See, for the first one, it was the right one. Then S1 changed it, so it will change everywhere for all the objects created from that class. If you want to make it final, that's fine, yani. If you want to prevent this change, just go here. So now what's this going to be? Public static, and what else? Final. So now this cannot be changed, of course. Okay? If it's final, usually we make it what, ya banat? Okay, I'll avoid this to just save a few minutes in the code. See now, you get an error here. What's this error? You cannot change it. Does that make sense? طيب. Can I get this value without creating an object? Can I print the university address? Why yes? Because it belongs to who? To the class, right? It belongs to the class. So I can go here. See? Sys out student, which is a class, right? See what you see here now. This is the only thing available to you. Can you use email or set name? Those are non-static things, right? They belong to the objects, not to the class. Is that clear now? See now? This should work. It should give you what? The university address. This is the one that's coming from the first output statement. Is it clear now? So let's go back to our slides here and see what happened. The variable is the same for all students. No need to make it non-static. Try to call it using object. We did, صح? And try to call it with a class name. We did, right? Whether you do this or that, you are talking about one thing. But if you use a class name, you will see it. Update it from the object and see the result. Did we update it for one student and we saw the result? Okay. Implications in all students. Make it constant. I made it constant. Then what happened after I made it constant? We could not change it. There are things that you want to be constant, صح? And static. Constant in Java is final, right? So we made it final and static. So final and static, there is something available to you in all objects. You don't have to do anything because it's coming to you from the class. Whenever you create an object, the university address is available to you. Tamam. Okay. So now, for this one here, let's make another one, another change. We will make what? Static class variable, number of active objects. Yani, whenever I want a counter, like whenever you create a new student object, I want to know that. But how can you know that? Each object has its own data. can I keep a counter in the class? Whenever you say new student, I put that counter where? In the class. This is, by the way, very easy. But you need to make sure, if you are using multiple constructors, you need to make sure that you are incrementing it in those instructors. So how to make it a class counter? Make it just what? Static. If you make it static, then there will be only what? How many student counts will be? 1. If you increment it, it belongs to the class. Okay. Whenever you say new student, you increment this value. And who are you going to ask about the current number of students? You are going to ask who? The class. Tamam. So here, as you see, we want a method called what? Get active students. Let us first do this. Here, I will go to the student class. I will make an integer here. Okay. I'll make it public. Static integer student count equals 0. Tamam. And by the way, it's very simple to increment it. How do we know that? Just put it where? In the constructor. Whenever you call this constructor, you see now we have many constructors, but all of them are going to call this constructor. صح ولا لا? Right. So I'll make it here. So what I'm going to do now, by the way, student count plus plus. So student count is what? Is a static, right? Student count is static, right? So it belongs to who? To the class. Now I want you to, I will make a method also without a method first. Let's go to the tester. Now I created 3 students. Now we don't need this one anymore, right? This out. I call it from the class. Student dot what? Student count. Yeah, Banat, do you want me to show you the number of students after every time I create what? Right? Do you want me to show you this counter? So here I created 3 objects, right? I created 3 objects in this one. Each time we should see the counter, the value of the counter. See, the value of the counter is what? 1, 2, 3. It is not set to 0 whenever you create a new object because the value of student count belongs to the class. After you create the first student, that value will be what? 1. It remains in the class. Then you create the second student, that value becomes what? 2 and 3 and 4. Does that make sense now? Does it make sense? Excellent. Type. Huh? Yeah, otherwise, how can we keep it in the class? Yeah, no, it is 0, but when you increment it, all the active objects now, you are incrementing one thing that belongs to the class. Tamam. طيب. Can we provide a method here, as we see here? Can we provide a method called, for example, get active students count? Tamam. طيب. The question is, does this method have to be static? It could be static or not. Let us see this code now, ya Banat, here. Okay. When you work with static variables, try to use what? Static methods. When you work with static variables, try to use static methods. Public, static. Why? Because we're gonna work integers, huh? Get active students count here. So this one will return what, ya Banat? Return. Can I call it from the class name? Student, right? Sorry. Dot what? Student count. So the method is static. If you make this method non-static, it works. No problem. Okay? However, we'll show you another situation where things won't work. Now, I have a method. Is it a static method? In order to call it, you have to create an object. Can you call it from the class level? Yes. Can you call it from the object level? Yes. But even if you call it from the object level, they call the class method. It's like static variables. Even if you call it from the object, they call the class variable. Does that make sense? Now let's go to this one here. Okay. Now I will do this first thing to show you that is 0. What? student dot, sorry, get active student count. This is one. Can I call it from the object? Yes, huh? I will show you here from the object. For example, what's the object name? ST3. From non-static to static, no problem, because the non-static will know where to get it. Okay, see? But you get a warning. In the first call here, you don't get a warning, صح? Static method called from the class name, that's fine. But here for this one, you get a warning. The warning says the static method, whatever name, from type student should be accessed in a static way. Yani, actually you are accessing it from an object. However, let us see. It works with a warning. We don't put semicolon somewhere here. Right. Good. Excellent. So let's see this now. Okay. See, here we get 0 in the very beginning. And here we get what? 3. It's one value. And that value is incremented. This value belongs to the class, not to the high. And the method is what? The method is what? Static. Right, now I want to show you something. I'll go to the student. If this method is non-static, tamam? This method is non-static, tamam. However, later I will show you that from static methods, you can only call what? Static methods. If the method is static, you can only call what? You know why? Because from static method, if you call another static method, the static method belongs to the class. And the other static method belongs to who? To the class. But if you call a non-static method belongs to the objects, right? And maybe you have millions of objects. So, and inside that method, maybe you are changing some values, صح? And those values belongs to the objects. So which object to do? I want you to remember, from non-static to static, fine, you get a warning. However, from static methods, you cannot call non-static methods. You cannot change non-static values, because those values and variables belong to the objects, not to the class. You say, okay, no problem. But which object? You have 10 students. Which email you are changing? We cannot know from the class. To change a non-static instance variable, you change them from non-static values. Tamam. So here, for example, I will make just quick thing here. I will put something called like GBA. You see GBA is what? Non-static. I will make a method here, public, static, void, change GBA. And this one will do what? This dot or GBA, this dot, oh, can I use this in a static? Well, there is a problem. This belongs to the object. صح? Right? طيب, خلينا نشوف. So here I will say GBA is equal to 5. Can you tell me what's the error now? See the error here. No. Look at the error. What is it? Cannot make a static what? To non-static field GBA. طيب, the static value belongs to a student, right? To an object. We have 3 students. If you are changing GBA here, to which one you are changing it? We don't have, in the class, I don't have a class variable called GBA. I have a class variable called count. I have a class variable called university address. Those things belong to the class. I can change them from a static method. Here, for example, get active, it's easy to get student count. But I cannot, from a static method, I cannot make any changes or reference to any non-static what? Object. طيب, let me change this code, huh? Let me change this code. طيب, get GBA is a static method, you right? Can I call it from get active students count? Yes, I can, huh? Get, ايش اسمها? Change GBA, the method, right? So change GPA. It should work, no problem. What's wrong here? Unreachable code. Why? Is it? Oh, you cannot put the code after return, huh? Because after return, The code will, okay, now here. I am calling a static method from a static method. That's fine. However, if this method is non-static, what are you going to see now? Why? Because the method belongs to the class. This method belongs to the class. Change EVA is a method that belongs to what? To the objects. So okay, I will call it, but I don't know which object. You have millions of objects. The class cannot know the objects. The opposite is possible. From an object method, you can call the class static methods or variables. Why? Because there is only what? One class. If you change it, that one thing will be changed. But from static to non-static, a problem. From non-static to static, warning only, because this is not the best way to do it. Tamam. So now, we go back to the slides here. Okay, we did all these things. You remember the account class? We did the account class, okay? Like in almost all object-oriented programming. Deposit, withdraw. You recall that. Bank account and these things. طيب. Can you tell me the total deposits made by all what? Is it easy now to do it? Total of all accounts. Each account is a separate object, right? How can I maintain the total of all accounts? In the class, which is a static, right? طيب, okay. You want me to go and do that, right? Here, we go to the bank account. Do you see it, ya banat? Here, bank account. You remember here I made the static address. This is the bank account. I believe you all know it from previous sessions and high. Nothing in it. Withdraw, deposit, print, report. Tamam. Now we want, first, we want to know how many accounts created. Did we do that for how many students created? Sah? Okay, that's easy. We're not going to do it now. Now we need to know total deposits made by all accounts. This is easy. I will make it just now. I'll make it public, ya banat, for simplicity. Public what? First method. Tell me what? Static. Double, sah? Okay, total what? Total what? Deposits equals initially to what? It's a static, sah? Type, when you gonna increment this? When you deposit, sah? Where is the method deposit? Here, tamam? Here. If amount is, you put it inside, sah? Right? You remember, we check first if the amount is non-negative, sah? Set balance. And now I say what? Total. I even can call it this way, ya banat. This is account class, sah? Account. So hatta user, even the user now can know this is a static. When I use a class name and you see this, what you gonna get now, ya banat? This is something that belongs to who? To the class. What is total deposits? Okay, plus equal what? Amount. Does that make sense? Now you have many account holders. Whenever anyone makes a deposit, whether your account or your account or her account or her account, the total deposit account is only one, sah? It's like we are accumulating all deposits in one. However, the balance is a non-static thing that belongs only to the objects, right? Your account has its own balance. Your account has its own balance, right? But deposit, total deposits, we keep track of this. So now, I will go to account tester. Is there account tester here? I can go somewhere and get to save few minutes. I believe here we have model, account, somewhere account tester. If you see it, let me know. Account tester, this code. You see it, ya banat? Tamam, okay. So I'll just copy this code back to our project here. And hopefully things will work with some minor changes. Okay. Package test. Tamam. Import model account. Okay. Set back address. Okay, that's fine. Tamam. Now what I'm going to do here is what? Do we have deposit? Do we have deposit for all of them? Right? Sah? How many accounts we have? One for Sarah, and one for Amna, and one for Aya, right? Okay. طيب. Let us run this. I will not change the bank address here. We did this example with university address. Let's make sure everything is... it seems things are working. Now, however, I want at the end here, this out, to know the total deposits. Should I call them from which class now? Okay, total deposits. Of course, you can provide a get method, but make sure it's a static method also. Okay? If you want to make private this one, I proceed. I don't know what's the problem, but what I care now is what? This is what? Total deposits made by all accounts. Yani this is total by Tara object, total by Amna object, and total by Aya object. These are the total deposits. Do you want to make the total withdrawals? Just make another what? Okay. Static belongs to the bank, not to the account holder. Tamam. Does that make sense? Hopefully this is clear. To make things like here, I think we forgot this code. You remember this one? 10 GBA, useless, huh? Okay, we did it just to show that what things that don't work. Tamam, excellent. Here I go here, and now let me run this. Okay, excellent. We get no warnings, nothing. Do you want total withdrawals? You know what to do, صح? If you make this with that, you know how much money left in the bank, yes or no? We did this total deposits. Now, static methods. Static methods are excellent if you have what? Things that are really needed. By the way, you have been using this. You know when you use math.power, do you create a math object? Why? Because there is a static method in the math class. You don't have to create an object of the math. You just call it directly. You know when you use math.py, there is a static value, constant, in where? In the math class. You just type math dot, exactly the same way we did what? Bank dot address. Does that make sense? Excellent. Tamam. Here, I did this example in a previous session, compare numbers. And the purpose was to learn method override, where we had a method to compare 2 integers, 3 integers, 2 doubles, and 3 doubles. Type. Before we created an object called compare numbers. But now, there are many cases where you want to create things to be static. No need to create an object. You can use it anytime. Does that make sense? From the class name, directly, you can make your own library. Here, they are asking us, can you change things to be static? Even the methods. Let us see the code first. Here, this is our code. Compare numbers here. If you don't remember this, see? Compare numbers. How many methods here? Get max. Get max 3 integers. Of course, now we know how to change this with what? Variable length parameters. Get max of 2 doubles. Get max of 3 doubles. But in order to use this, here, ya banat, see test compare. I compare numbers in new what? طيب. Now I'll change everything here. I will go to this class now, and I will only do something like this. Bas one word, which is what? Public what? Static, public static, and public what? Static and public static. Now, you can use this now. You can use this now from anywhere without knowing anything about it, huh? If you just know the class compare numbers, see now the test here, how the test is going to work now. No need for all these things. You have 3 integers you want to compare, right? طيب على طول. Okay, I'll say integer max is equal to what? What's the class name? Compare number. This is the class name. Compare what? Dot. This is from the class name, right? Do you see the letter S on all the methods, right? So which ones? I have 3 integers. Tamam. Okay, 10 and 5, 3, 30 and 1. Does that make sense now? Okay. Did I do anything now? Only by one thing. Okay, let us say this. Okay, let me print this first. And here say max. Okay. Max should be 30. Let me run this now. Does that make sense, ya banat? If you know the compare numbers, maybe you have 50 functions inside it, and they are all what? Static. Now, you go to the math class, and maybe you say they have square root. Maybe. You are not sure, sir. What you do, you type math dot, sir. And once you type math dot, you see all the static methods. You know what I'm doing now then, sir? Okay, you can now create a library of any domain, like health library, whatever, conversion library. Okay? I think in one of our questions here, okay, in our, yes, go ahead. Now we will create a method called class temp converter. This will convert our classic example, you know this, right? From Fahrenheit to what? Celsius. So now I will create a class called what? Temp converter. Inside it, I'll make three methods. One to convert from Celsius to what? The other to compare from. Does that make sense, ya banat? And all of them can be now what? Static. Is it going to be easy? Let us see. And we can count the time, how long it takes, huh? So I'll go here to our model. I can say new, okay, class. And the class will be what? Temp convert. Let us make this, okay. طيب يلا now. First method. Public. Static. Right? Double. Returns double. Okay. I will call it C to F. Celsius to what? You want, I can make it Celsius. But you know, ya banat, Celsius, you know, I don't know how to type Fahrenheit. And hopefully, yani, okay. Celsius to Fahrenheit. Double what? C. What is the result for this one? Return what? A return, and I remember, I think I remember. Return what? Return 9 over 5 plus 32 or times C plus 32. We don't care about the calculations now a lot, صح? We care about what? Okay, here, now Celsius to Kelvin. Celsius to Kelvin, which is return Celsius plus 273.15. This is my best memory. Okay, dot 15. And finally, Celsius to Rankine, right? حاضر. I just came from a Python class maybe. Okay, Celsius to ايش كانت آخر وحدة؟ Rankine. تمام. And this one is the, okay. This one will use this. Is it a static method? I can call it. By the way, this one is equal return get Celsius to Kelvin. شوفوا Celsius to Kelvin C times 1.8. Does that make sense? Anything wrong with this? It will call this, and this is how we calculate Rankine, I believe. 1.8 times what? Times Rankine or Kelvin. تمام. So خلاص, now it's done. By the way, I can create here a class called what? Sorry, I can create here a temp test. There is nothing. A new and class can be temp test and with the main method. And I just need to import what? Import model, everything from the model, and that's it. Now, what? Do I need to create an object? No. Nothing. Just على طول, huh? This out, for example. This out, شوفوا. Okay. مثلا, okay, let us say, what is the class name? Temp convert dot. في شيء غلط? N is missing, right? Okay. Now temp convert dot Celsius to Fahrenheit. What do you want to convert? 40 Celsius. I know it's 104. I remember this. Okay. Good. Here you see the output, which is what? So you understand now static methods, static variables, and how things work, why you can call static when you need it, why you cannot from static call non-static methods or make changes to non-static instance variables. Does that make sense, ya banat? Any question on what we did so far?